joy. And what a joy to get to bring this woman's story there as well. I think Shirley Jackson is such a complex and dynamic, wonderful writer who I don't think, her name is barely known in the United States. And she's a huge figure. She huge influence on Guillermo del Toro, on Neil Gaiman, on Stephen King. And so she's influenced all these other horror writers, but I think she herself deserves kind of a place in history. And so it's wonderful to get to share her work in a way with a Mexican audience too. What a joy. Working with Elizabeth, it's like she is, actually, I think we are very much kindred spirits. She really likes to be spontaneous. She wants to be very open to the moment. She doesn't want to over rehearse. She really beautiful, honestly, working with Elizabeth and seeing her just kind of access these other worlds at the drop of a hat, and she's sitting there joking with you, and then you call action and she's Shirley. Yeah, well, I think, I definitely think there's a lot of crossover between Shirley and my previous film, Madeline's Madeline. And I didn't even realize how much crossover there was until we were, I think I showed a version of Madeline's Madeline to Sarah, the writer for Shirley, and we both realized this is so much of the same material. There's a mentor who's kind of subtly exploiting her muse. It's about the creative process. There's issues around mental illness. There's a lot that crosses over. And I think that, to me, obviously I'm an artist, and I think stories of grappling with how do you tell a story responsibly? How do you make great work? How do you make great art? And that challenge. I think everything I make is going to be something totally different. I keep thinking that I'm making a comedy. I always think I'm making comedies, and they all turn out to be really intense, emotional thrillers that are to some degree violent or just even emotionally violent. And I'm very drawn to work that floats between realities, where you're not just in one reality that starts at A and ends at B, where the time happens in sequence and everything is easily understood. And I like to make projects where you're kind of slipping into the character's mind and back, and maybe in ways that you don't even realize until you're deeper into the project. And I think what he did so masterfully in Pan's Labyrinth was that you step into a fairy tale that's also a reality, of the Spanish Civil War. And so you're sort of you're thrust into both a political film, but also an extremely fecund fairy tale world. And I just think that that's so rare. Usually you have one or the other, and they usually don't get such a strong tie between a reality and a fictional reality the way that he did in that film. And I think that's something that I'm really drawn to as an artist, in the things that I consume, is sort of, I love a reality that is so real and alive that actually really mirrors the world around us. Children of Men is another of my favorite films, and I think Cuarón did a masterful job of making a reality that was so, I think he very, very specifically was let's have all the production design be things that you've seen in our world. Let's not make a magical land. Let's pull from things that are part of our world. And then at the same time, he's telling a story that's set in a reality that is very different from the reality that we're in. I think I come from a documentary background, but I'm obsessed with fairy tales. And so I think the melding of those kind of two things, where you have a very strong fantasy and a very strong reality side by side, is juicy. I just could watch those kind of movies forever. And there's not that many great ones, so I think those two are some of the best. mentioned, I've worked with Martin Hernández, who's done a lot of the sound design for Iñárritu's films, who I also obviously think is a genius. I think The Revenant was one of the most beautiful films ever, and Birdman, and he just what a playful and wild mind, and so beautiful, makes such beautiful films. Lucrecia Martel, how could I forget? The Headless Woman blew my mind. I think Lucrecia and her other one, La Ciénaga, she is a genius. I mean, what a poet, what a genius. I love her work so much.